の空を貫いて地球を打った雷は我ら幼い人類に目覚めてくれと放たれたマクロス惜しくたった若者は愛する人をかばいつつ旅立つ日々を戦い開く Will love me tomorrow 闇を切り裂き飛びゆく先は遠く輝く青い星
Yo, what's going on, everyone? My name's Tori, aka the Anime Top Scholar, and you're listening to the Red Leaf Retrocast, episode 59. Today, I'm joined by the usual people. JD, hello, how are you?
There's no birch trees around me, so I'm pretty sure I'm safe in my current state. I'm in the middle of Pennsylvania recording, hopefully... Okay, I want to say... I'll apologize if my audio sounds way weird and more different than usual. It's just because I'm not at home, usual. So bear with me for the recording and the editing of this particular episode.
The editing is all you, so I don't even worry.
It's good to be here. I did make it. Tori, you're gonna be you have a task of leading this cast today.
I do, and it's gonna be horrible. So enjoy. All right, and I'm also joined with Hickey. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for asking. I'm not inside of a car this time as well, so it is great. Great to be
very polite today, Hickey.
Oh yeah, because I'm happy. I've been working throughout the week with taxation laws, and that's something I don't understand. So my country's taxation laws are just way more complicated than the end of Evangelion. So, I honestly, I don't understand what I did. I don't understand what I wrote. I just did it. I still need to work in the weekends with the taxes. I don't want to think about it. So, since I'm not thinking about it, and I'm thinking about anime and how mediocre my life is usually, I'm very happy and very excited.
That's good to hear. That's very good to hear. But today, we're also joined by a special guest. We're joined by Colin. How are you?
Hello. I've come back from the Retro Gaming Cast. Did you miss me?
I missed you. Did you complete any of the Final Fantasies since last time?
Not yet, but I'm approaching the end of Disc 2 of Final Fantasy IX.
Sweet. Any what's your impression since then? Been getting a lot of... For those wondering, we just put out the Final Fantasy themed episode over at the Retro Gaming podcast, and everyone spoke highly of 9. So, Colin, what's your impressions?
My impression is still as high now as it was before. I still fully intend to play it to the end. I'm really loving it. As my characters get stronger, and I am joined by more characters, like I just got joined by a Blue Mage character who eats enemies in order to obtain powers. That was a pretty cool feature.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm in that game for the long haul. Also, for those who don't know, the last time I appeared on this cast was for the Vision of Escaflowne episode, number 37. And also, somebody's going to have to explain the birch tree joke to me, because I think I'm out of the loop.
Well, you're telling me you don't listen to every anime podcast episode from the Red Leaf Retrocast?
Wow.
Who's got that kind of time?
Look, we're world famous. We get tens of downloads.
Tens.
Listen, just because I don't listen to our cast.
Every week in the Kuwait podcast market.
Just because I don't listen to my cast doesn't mean that you shouldn't.
So for those that aren't
Probably
familiar with the
only one
birch
who
tree
actually
joke,
listen to the cast. I actually listen to the to the retro game. How dare you to not listen to all this?
we did an episode over a hentai called Stainless Night.
Yeah, I remember.
And-
I remember that, but I don't remember the birch trees.
Well, a major plot, I guess. Would we call it plot?
No.
Anytime one of the characters would go... So they're in, like, a cabin in the woods, and it's surrounded by birch trees. And whenever they would go out of the cabin into the birch trees, something horrid would happen to
Well,
character.
I think I remember now. I actually did listen to that cast, but I just didn't remember the joke.
The girl masturbating at the birch tree, and then she got raped by a cybernetic in haste. Futanari girl. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
A dog got punted and killed and
God.
stabbed and...
Good times.
Good times.
Good times.
Good times.
One of our highest downloaded episodes.
I don't see why it wouldn't be.
Why wouldn't it be? You know what episode
Popular
is not
show.
downloaded a lot? The Angel Cop episode.
Yeah, you know, it makes sense. It's Angel Cop, and quite frankly, who cares? It's Angel Cop.
One of our more fun episodes. I liked it. I really enjoyed it.
Nice.
Yeah, just not watching the show. But
Yeah.
everything else was cool.
Berserk did really well. No surprise there. And a lot of hate mail, just hate comments on Twitter and the like for our opinions over Baki the Grappler.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder
Oh, yeah.
why.
A lot of people have heavy nostalgia for that show.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
No.
That was expected. I know people absolutely love that show. And I don't get it. Even talking to Joe in the Discord, former host of the cast, like, he too really likes Baki. And the way he says, like, don't worry about it. All you need to remember when watching Baki is bitches ain't shit. And I'm like, I get that, but that's still not it's still not good.
Yeah,
It's not good. Bitches are
Fuck
sure
Baki.
not shit.
Oh,
I've never seen it myself, so I can't opine on it.
go watch it. It's
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you want to die a little bit inside, yeah, go watch Baki the Grappler.
And I'm busy watching other stuff for future casts. That's right, you're gonna see a lot more of me in the next few months, people.
Excited to have you.
Yay! I'm appreciated.
It's also patronizing when you say that. So yeah, anybody been doing anything fun since the last time, or especially you, Colin, since the last time you were on, been doing anything?
Oh, I've been playing a lot of games, watching a few more shows. Of course, mostly I've since moved back to my parents' place to save up some money. They offered to let me live at home for a year or two to save up for like a down payment on a house and such. I've also decided to make a career shift. I'm moving away from aviation and I want to get into the trades. So next year I'm planning on going into a trades fundamentals course that sort of covers everything. There's electrician stuff for a couple months, then there's plumber, then there's HVAC, then there's
HVAC
there's
is
carpentry.
cool. I'm familiar with a lot of HVAC.
Nice. Yeah, I just want to kind of sample everything and see what fits my personality the best and see if I can do that for the rest of my life.
Career changes are not easy. I would know. I've done it twice now.
Yeah. I mean, for the past few months, I've been trying to get into electrician before I found out about the fundamentals course, and that alone was pretty tough, especially with my newly extended commute. I used to only take me like 20 minutes to half an hour to get to work. Now it takes me a full hour going to and from.
Ooh.
So it's rough, but hey, if I get to live at home for free and save $1,000 a month, it's totally worth it.
Weak.
Hey, I'd love to live alone, but sometimes you got to make sacrifices.
I had my 6-month review at work.
Oh, how'd that
Do
go?
tell.
I exceeded expectations despite all of my shit
yeah?
that I've been given. Yeah.
Does that say that they had really low expectations?
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. So there was one category called attendance.
Uh-huh.
And it had one sentence, and it was, he shows up to work every day.
That's not good.
And I went, and I looked at it, and I laughed, and I go, that is your exceeded expectations? I showed up to work. This is a low bar.
I was going to say.
But I mean, it makes sense. You're constantly talking about how people don't show up, so I'm not surprised.
Oh, God. So I'm supposed to. I drove 6.5 hours in the car yesterday to get where I need to be, and so I planned on leaving at 1 p.m. yesterday.
Yes.
And lo and behold, because I can't leave work until the relief gets there, because I have to set up all the chemistry properly, etc., etc. And like 15 minutes before I'm set to leave, I'm just waiting on the guy to show up. There's a text message, and my boss comes and he goes, yeah, so, he just texted me he's gonna be 2 hours late. I went, fuck you, that's not happening.
Oh, jeez.
So I flat out said no, and he goes, give me an hour, and we'll get you someone over here. I go, fine, I'll give you 1 hour. And then as the hour approached, I went, I'm leaving, like now, where is he? And then Mr. I'm going to be 2 hours late walks in the door magically. I went, okay, I'm out. It's like, this is why I got exceeded expectations for attendance.
JD just going out. Thank you for coming here to work. Now fuck you, and fuck you, and fuck you. I'm out.
Everyone gets the middle finger. Everyone gets the okay sign now, because that's also a derogatory hand sign.
I guess only if you do.
That's so dumb.
4chan strikes again. I love those people. They're great.
Yeah.
But yeah, exceeded expectations. It sounds like long-term plans is they want me to transition into a process engineering role rather than the loose chemical engineering role that I have. So, yeah. I don't
Does that come with more money?
It does come with more money. It comes with a salary. It comes with benefits. So I'm hoping to get into that transition. Who knows how long that's going to take.
7 years later.
But that seems to be the long-term plan. I agreed with it, so exceeded. Yay, thumbs up. Work stuff. Can we talk about anime and all the other bullshit now?
I do think we can, since we've been going for over 10 minutes already.
Yeah.
So yeah, why don't you play a drop, JD?
I will. I'm going to play Bebop High School. Will you be a good boy, Tori?
I will not be a good boy. No.
Okay. Just checking.
Alright. So, up now, we have everyone's favorite segment, My New Quest. The plan to watch list cleaning quest. And at this point, we have gotten all the way to E. And we're going to be talking about a show called Elf wo Karu Monotachi. A.k.a. Those Who Hunt Elves.
Is this a hentai?
Heard of that
It is
one.
not a hentai. It is not a hentai.
Why not?
It's much more classy than that. It's produced by studio group TAC and Muse. It's 12 episodes. It was directed by Kazuyoshi Katayama, who directed Appleseed. And it came out in... I forgot to write that down. 1996. So, the synopsis for the show goes on like this. An actor, a martial artist, a gun-crazy high school student, and their tank are transported from Earth to a world of elves and magic. However, the spell to return them home is botched, resulting in fragments of the spell being magically imprinted onto their skin. That doesn't even say who. But okay. Their solution, run around looking for elves and stripping them wherever they find them. So yeah, basically, it's about a bunch of guys who's been transported to another world, who all they want is to get home, but now they have to run around finding elves and then strip them naked to see if they have this thing on them, and then they don't have this thing on them, and then they eventually get taken to court for sexual abuse, and it's
Whoa. Okay, so this is getting a little awkward for me. I'm on my tablet
So,
right now.
yeah.
It's an anime about guys going around harassing elves. That is a hentai.
No, man.
Mysterious
There's only
torn
one
from-
guy.
hentai.
The other two are girls, okay?
Oh, okay.
There's one guy,
It's
two
still a
girls, and a
hentai.
tank.
It's just like
Oh, they don't have
alternative,
sex. It's softcore.
alternative title. Those who hunt cock slaves.
Oh boy.
They never go that far.
Mysteriously
They
torn
never
from
go
the
that
world
far.
we know, karate expert Junpei, Oscar-winning actress Irie, weapons specialist Ritsuko.
Let's go. Yep.
Weapons
Need
specialist.
to find components of a
a high school
spell
girl from Japan. Sure.
and their tattoos on the bodies of female elves across the land.
Yep.
That is
Are
a
you sure
hentai.
this isn't a hentai?
That is a hentai.
Yeah.
Dude.
There was
that
no
would be-
sex.
that would be
Nobody
such
had
a
sex.
good hentai. God.
It would have been, but nobody had sex.
There's
Sounds a
a
lot.
sequel, apparently, and the recommended anime after this is Slayers, Excel Saga, and Trigun.
Yeah. Definitely. I can see. I understand why Slayers is recommended. I don't personally like Slayers, but I can see why it's recommended. They are similar-ish.
The art style looks
It's
exactly
more.
the same.
It's more of a it is more of a parody type of story, which is kind of funny considering it's an isekai. It's an early isekai, but it's more of a parody type of story. And yeah, I would definitely say that it does have some very wacky jokes, a la what you would expect from Excel Saga. So it's just a completely over the top comedy, and it's okay. It's not amazing, but it's enjoyable. It's just the whole silly thing. It's like they are literally transported to a medieval fantasy world, and it's like bad guys are showing up, and they're here to take people prisoners and do bad stuff to them. And then here's the heroes, these legendary heroes who are here to stop them. Ha! What are you gonna do? Rolls out their tank. Everyone's like, what the fuck is that? Hold on. We can't fight that. So yeah, and then of course it's like, oh, you're our legendary heroes. You're here that we have believed of in legend. And then it's like, actually, these are the ones who hunt elves. The rapists? Yes. They're not heroes at all. They're the villains. It's a decent comedy. I would recommend giving it a shot, especially if you do like sort of isekai parodies, stuff like that. It's a fun one. It's not amazing. The story isn't great. There isn't much of a story. It's just we're trying to get home. And spoilers, at the end, they don't get home because there's a sequel.
Way to ruin it for me,
yeah.
Tori.
Didn't see
I
that
know, right?
coming.
Oh.
But
There is a girl with a military fetish and somehow acquires a tank.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
yes,
According
because
to what
it is,
I'm reading
it is
here.
really normal to Japanese girls go around with tanks. Haven't you seen the documentary called Girls and Panzer? It's
You
there.
should remember, JD. I posted a picture even in our Discord.
Yeah,
It's just,
and we made a
just
bunch
like
of we made a bunch of jokes about elves only being able to serve as cock
Yep.
slaves in parties. And we remember
find
that.
yourself a woman who loves you as much as Disco loved this goddamn tank.
Oh boy.
I mean, come on! If you had a tank, you'd love it as well. I also,
hell
I
yeah.
also learned that with Girls and Panzer.
Oh, here's a review that
yeah.
gave it 10 out of 10 in everything.
Yeah, I would not give it 10 out of 10 in anything, but
Enough
sure.
action to beat out a lot of today's anime. The hilarious premise of finding markings and naked elven girls is just part of the charm. 10 out of 10.
It is indeed part of the charm, is what the show's about. It's literally the premise. Thank you.
That's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to go on to Anime Planet and write, like, 3-sentence reviews of every show. Always give them 10 out of 10.
Yes, people love that.
People love that.
So yeah, not much more to say. I do also have the sequel planned to watch later.
No.
Oh yeah.
You would do that to
Oh,
yourself?
Yeah, dude, it's not a bad show. It's okay. I can do that. I can watch 2 seasons of an okay show. It's short. It's 12. Both seasons are 12 episodes, so 2 core altogether. That's okay. That's not that bad.
You say so, bro.
I do say so. I do indeed say so. So, yeah. That's that. So, JD, why don't you play yet another drop before we move on?
All right, Hickey, what are you feeling here?
I don't know. I don't have the list of drops you have.
I mean, well, you don't listen to the podcast, so what would you know?
I don't listen. Yeah, I mean, I listen to the other podcasts. I don't listen to my own podcast. And I already need to live with myself every single day of my life. I need to listen to myself.
All right, we'll do Dragon Ball Z.
And the next one should be Shining Finger.
Don't have it.
Nuts.
Although I should take it
Hell
away.
yeah.
Hickey,
Okay.
you should probably take that away.
Yeah, Hickey, you do that.
Sure. Usually, I start the introduction of the Manga webtoons checkout with the introduction we always use. But unfortunately, since Tori did this agenda, he deleted it. But regardless,
let me pull up Webtoon then right now on my tablet.
Yeah, I should actually do that. I'm with my cell phone. I'm just retarded. Basically, me and JD, we have a segment where we talk about some manga, or webtoon we found interesting. And this time we are talking about the acclaimed Tower of God, which was, let me see.
What do you desire? Money and wealth, honor, and of course it's white text on white, so now I can't read the rest of it.
Yeah. It is done by a guy named Siu. So the summary from Wikipedia, because that's the only place it has a summary. Tower of God centers around a boy called 25th Bum, or just Bum, which means knight in Korean.
I think so.
Or like some kind of nut as well. Who has spent most of his life with his only friend Rachel to keep him company.
Bitch.
Not yet, JD. Only season 2. That only happens on season 2. When Rachel enters the tower, Bam manages to open the door into it as well, and faces challenges at each floor of this tower as he tries to find his closest companion. Not the best synopsis, but good enough. Basically, yeah, we're talking about a tower called Tower of God, where you have 3 layers. The outside layer, the inside layer, and the middle layer. The outside layer of where people live, and usually they live all their lives there. But some people are chosen by the tower to compete in some games in the inside and the middle layer, and they can get further up in the tower. The further up you are, the better things are. But Bum is what we call, or they call it, an irregular, because he entered the inner layers of the tower on his own. And apparently everyone who's do that is a monster. So yeah, we just follow him as he tries to find his friend, with a very generic bitch name called Rachel. If you call Rachel, I'm not saying you're a bitch, just it's my impression of that name.
My impression of you.
If you're named Rachel, I just Pavlovian response to you're a bitch.
Yeah, you can blame this. You can blame Tower of God for that. Oh, yeah. So, I think everyone here read Tower of God.
I read a few chapters.
Yeah, what do you think about it? Aside the art style, because I know at the beginning the art style is not very good, but
it gets way better.
Yeah, one of the good things and fun things about Tower of God is definitely the art, because it doesn't start good, but we see the progression of Siu as an artist as well as the time goes on, which is really, really nice to see.
I think he also got an artist to work with him on it at this point, so now it's even better.
Yeah, it seems intriguing enough. I mean, it reminds me of a few video games. Like, the premise feels similar to this one game I have but have not played yet called Pandora's Tower.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Although I also get Persona 3 vibes because there's a lot of tower climbing in that one too. And there's even
I see the comparison, absolutely.
there's even a few similarities to the first season of Sword Art Online, because that also involves climbing a tower to get out.
Yep.
Yeah, but after 10 chapters, they just don't go, oh, we beat it.
Yeah. This is a long journey. Definitely. That is one does not like. I think the one thing that obviously I read this a while ago. I stopped reading it for a while, so I'm a little bit behind now. But like the way I always try to describe it to people who are not familiar with like Manhwa or Korean manga and stuff like that, it's just like it's essentially like it is essentially Korean shonen in a lot of ways, but it's good.
Oh, yeah.
It's a good story. It's long. It's kind of long, but it's a really enjoyable journey, and it's just like I like the way kind of the stakes are always. They do a good job of like making sure that the stakes always seem fairly high based on their skill level, but they're still pretty good at like scaling stuff up without overscaling too much. There are still major like differences in power, even after like our main characters start to get more powerful. There are still big differences in power until eventually a kind of typical shonen thing
Well,
happens.
I know exactly what you mean with the whole scale of power, because that's what Tower of God it does extremely well. Is it immediately establishes there are tiers, right?
Yeah,
and it introduces you to characters in those tiers. So you have your goals of where are characters starting at the bottom, right? Where they have to pass the initial tests. And each level they go up, you get reintroduced to those tiered characters. And that is the goal. We know the end game, we know the goal, we know the stakes at each level. So when you get your power scales, everything makes sense. And you go, okay, there's the next goal. They got to get this strong to get to that level. How are they going to do that? What are they going to do to accomplish that goal? What is the who, what, when, where, why? There's always that, and everything's established. Tower of God. This is what Girls of the Wilds was lacking. You know, that main character. You know the goal, but you don't know the tiers of the goals. He just gets strong all of a sudden, right? Mm-hmm. You know how strong all the girls are loosely. Right, but there's no established level. You don't know what level he's got to get to. They just go, oh, he's good enough now, and he wins.
It's the problem we had with Baki as well.
Yes, Baki did it the worst of them all.
There is no established level.
There is no established.
Everyone
he
is
just
loses.
Whatever.
Yeah,
but yeah, no, there's a lot of that, and the. Like I said, and it allows for like this build. It allows for easier to suspend your disbelief that these quote unquote monsters in these battles they're facing, like when they're facing even the tutorial monster is pretty fucking strong, although not really. But to them he is, right? And it's like it allows that. But what I like, especially early on as well, is that it allows to kind of use a little bit like the dynamics of the different characters, because some of the like initial fights are about. You know, not just them fighting like the big, strong boss. They're fighting each other.
Right.
So they're all similar. Obviously, some people are more talented than others, but they are similarly tiered. So it should be a decently fair fight. Although, as we know, it isn't. Some of them are definitely strong enough to belong in a different tier than what they currently are.
Well, that's the other thing. Like, people progress differently from each other. And that makes sense, right? Even, I mean, going back to Baki, there's a time skip in Tower of God, and when the characters return, you expect them to be at a higher level. And then there's the mystery of, okay, how much better did they get? What tier are they going to go up to? Well, in Tower of God, you have to earn, just like anything else, you have to earn those next tiers, right? You have to earn your way to the top, and then so it establishes why and how and what are the stakes, and they can't just go, oh, I'm just going to go up to X level. You have to earn it all. So then the mystery is, okay, now how much stronger have they gotten? And then it shows you when shonen do these who, what, when, where, why, and the power levels, and it shows you what they are so well. The beginning of Naruto, One Piece does it well. Tower of God does it extremely similar, and it's more fleshed out because it established early what the goal is, right?
Yep.
And who the most powerful are. What One Piece didn't do was it left it. Of course, it's 20 years plus in the making, so that goes a little bit differently at this point. What One Piece didn't do was it didn't show, like, it would tell you who the strongest guys are, but it didn't tell us their level, because there's a girl at the beginning. She's kind of overseeing. I forget her name, but she's one of the strongest, and she can. Her establishment was, well, she beat this other guy who was established at a high level, and she beats him easy. I was like, okay, so she's that tier. She's the triple S or whatever tier it is. I love that about Tower of God. And the stakes are always high, and they make sense. Everything makes sense in Tower of God. They don't treat the reader like a moron. And the humor is on point all the time with the alligator character calling everyone little turtles, and it's fantastic.
Stop hiding, you goddamn turtles! Come out and fight.
What's the alligator's name again?
Oh shit. Icky.
It wasn't top of my little.
Yeah.
Oh,
it wasn't
no.
my tongue. But
I suck at Korean names is the problem, and it's been so long.
Yeah, it's been a while, but the stories are so fresh in my head still. What is everyone, like, Colin, I know you didn't read a whole lot of it, but what's everyone's, like, favorite arc that they've read to date? I really like the train one the most.
The Hell Train?
The Hell Train, that is awesome.
Yeah, same. That as well. That is the first time where they, well, not the first time, but it's one of those times where, like, they get to skip, like, a significant portion, and it's like how they establish just how dangerous that, like, while let's say, shortcut, quote unquote, how dangerous this shortcut actually fucking is.
Yeah, like, only 3 people ever survive, let alone pass it.
Yep. Yeah, no, that is, they really upped the stakes at that point, and it is just, it's such, when I was reading, I couldn't put my phone down. It was just like, I need to know what happens next.
Exactly.
The crocodile name is Rock. R-A.
That's
Rock, that's
Yeah.
right, yeah. You fucking turtle. And Tower of God's getting an anime adaptation finally, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I
it
saw a
finally
bit
got an
about
offer
that.
one. That and Noblesse is getting another one. But
About
yeah,
fucking time.
it is. I really hope that this isn't just like, because Noblesse already has an anime, or rather it has an OVA. It's like, what, 2 episodes?
Yeah.
I really hope that's not going to be the case for Tower of God. It's just going to get like 2-episode OVA. But I guess we'll have to wait and see.
This could be a big hit shonen easily if it gets a good adaptation. So
I'd watch it.
I'd watch
I'm
the
not
hell out of
very excited, but that just comes with everything. My expectations are as low as JD's works bar.
All right, Tori. Glowing
Me.
review.
Extremely recommended. By the way.
Oh yeah, I mean, you already know. I recommend this show. This every time I've been bothering you guys to talk about Tower of God. Like every time you try to think of something.
I did like it when Hickey just said, "Fuck it, let's do Tower of God." I was
Yeah,
like, okay.
I mean, I wanted to do another one, but it wouldn't be good for reputation since we have a guest.
Alrighty, Tori, shall we move on?
We shall move on. And,
Okay.
drop.
Yeah, I forgot the timestamp. Shit.
And it's all fucked up.
No, it's okay. I'll just have to, when I edit, it's fine.
It's fine. We just need to pray so we don't, have any technical issues.
Okay.
Dun-dun.
Next drop will be... Yeah, let's go with the classic. Lupin. Play. Done. Lupin the Third.
Done.
Right.
Oh, yeah. And since we've gotten this far, I also did realize that I forgot to say what we're doing this podcast.
That's okay.
So, it is okay. We can take it now. So what we're going to be doing now is we're going to do our moving bar outlook, because if you're new and you don't know, what we do here is we often every time we talk about a retro anime, and our rule for retro anime is it has to be 15 years old to be considered for review. 15 years old to the season, meaning that since it's a new season, fall 2019, there's now a new season open up for shows for review, and we're now to fall 2004, and
time flies.
So it sure does. And essentially, since I was asked to do this, I just decided to pick a couple of shows to mention that are now able to be reviewed. The first one, obviously, being Bleach, which we're totally going to be doing, right, guys?
I mean, we could do, like, the first season. you
Sure,
know?
I like Bleach. I
like Bleach.
I honestly don't mind reviewing it.
I like it to a
It's a joke,
point.
guys.
I mean, I like up to the last Aizen fight. After that, it's just like...
Yeah, we don't have to watch past Aizen.
It was a joke, guys. Thanks. And, yeah, other than that, we have School Rumble is able to be reviewed now. Beck is up for review.
Oh,
I really
Beck.
like.
Okay.
Yeah. Gankutsuo, The Count of Monte Cristo, is available to be reviewed.
Oh, I've been meaning to watch that forever.
Same. The first season of Genshiken is able to be reviewed, as well as Mahou Shoujo Lyrical Nanoha Season 1.
Yeah, and there's another one, some very famous shit. I forgot. That is also from fall 2004. Rose and Maiden first season is up
Rose
for
Maiden,
review.
yes. Yep.
Yeah, My
There's a lot,
Hime.
honestly,
Gakuen Alice
there's a lot of good
was
shows.
also...
There was a lot of good shows that came out in fall of 2004.
Right,
Yeah, I'm looking at it. We got Major Season 1. I really enjoyed that show, especially Season 1.
The second season of Too Hard, yes.
Oh, fuck off. I will veto that shit every time.
I don't care who was popular, Hickey. Stop this.
Blackjack.
Yeah,
Again.
Blackjack. Yeah, no, definitely. So, by all means, if you want us to talk about any of these shows, then bother JD on Twitter or wherever you can get a hold of him.
Oh.
And where can people get a hold of you, JD?
At BowlingJD, or use the hashtag RedLeafRetrocast.
Hold on. Let me
FYI, I have seen Lyrical Nanoha.
Good, I haven't.
Movies are
I
better.
also have watched the first season of Nanoha. It is quite uninteresting.
You
Yeah.
don't say.
Perfect.
Howl's Moving Castle, Place Promise in Our Early Days. Those are fall 2004 movies.
Yeah. Lots of good stuff.
Fall 2004,
Lots of
good season.
Yeah. Oh, Futakoi. Oh, oof.
What the fuck is Futakoi? Why does that sound familiar?
Because you probably watched it in the middle 2000s. You just
No,
don't
JD,
remember.
it's not foot. No, JD, it is not Futabu.
Oh, no.
Well, it's from Ufa Table. Alright, here we go. Futakoi. Hold on. Alternative title, Twin Love. Is it a hentai?
No.
After his
Beautiful
father decided to
Joe,
work
season
overseas,
one.
Nozomo...
Oh, Beautiful Joe.
Yeah.
I like the sound of that.
But this is no ordinary town. There's a legend that twins once loved a man. So are you sure this isn't a hentai?
I'm sure that's not a hentai.
And the abundance of twins to be found is the result for Futami. Having multiple twins... What the fuck? Is this show about anything?
It's about a harem that is composed about a bunch of couple of twins. That's the reason the
Sounds
name is
dumb.
Futakoi. Futa means like chew. And koi is a type of fish.
Yeah, that's not going to get
as well,
confusing watching that at all.
So if you want us to review that, then definitely suggest it to JD, and then he will be forced to.
If we weren't reviewing
really don't want
Macross,
to.
this episode it would definitely be called. I can't believe it's not hentai because we had those who hunt of Nafuta.
You know what? You're right.
Yep. And later we're talking about Macross, which is also hentai, I guess.
Oh,
I mean,
if you want to do some culture with me, sure.
I want to do no culture with you, JD. Absolutely not. But yeah. So if nobody has anything else to talk about in 2004, do we move on to Macross then?
Well, hell yeah, that's a quick segment, isn't it?
I mean, do you have, like I said, if you have anything you want to talk about, then
let me see.
there really isn't much here.
There's a Maria-sama ga Miteru special. Damn, Maria-sama
Yeah.
ga Miteru is old. Damn.
It is, and it's also on my review thing.
I wouldn't mind doing a long term shonen, as long as we just cut it and see how it does in downloads, what's fans' reaction. So if the fans want us to do Bleach, I'd be more than happy to do a short section of Bleach. I'm not sure Tori would be too excited to be a shonen whore like me and Hickey.
No, hold on.
Well, first of all, I'm never going to be a shonen whore.
Not a shonen whore. How dare you?
Well, again, if people want it, I will definitely watch it. But again, we are most definitely cutting it down to arcs.
Oh,
at the very
yeah.
least, because hell no, I'm not watching all of Bleach in one go.
You don't want to do 350 episodes? Come on, Tori.
No, I really don't want to do. Besides, if we do 350 episodes, guess what? We're not reviewing this for another 3-4 years. Probably not doing it
I
anyways,
think out
but-
of all the shows from fall 2004, Gankuto stands out the most. Just because it's been on my plan to watch list for ages. I just haven't watched it.
Top
Genshiken would be fun just from a
also
fan
came out
perspective.
in fall 2002, so 2004. So we can finally finish. We revealed the first one, so I guess we can reveal the second one now.
Alright, I'll play another drop. Let me make my
Sakura
timestamp, though,
Tensei.
before I forget this time. Let's see. Oh. What do I want to play? What do I want to play? It's
I don't know.
very tough decision. Fuck it. One Piece. Scream it on my face.
I want to live! Take me with you! Take me away from here!
Done.
Done, huh?
Go ahead,
That's good,
Tori.
you're telling me. Alright, so like I said, today we're going to be reviewing SDF Macross. The original Macross from 1982. Let's see here.
God, it was
by
the
Studio
early
Artland.
80s?
Yes,
I thought it was the
really
late
was
80s. Why was I thinking that?
I don't know. It doesn't look good enough to be the late 80s.
Oh, I suppose you're right.
No. It was produced by Studio Artland. It was done shows like Mushishi, Katsukayo Hitman, and Katsukayo Hitman Reborn, as well as Tatsunoko Production. It was done stuff like Gatchaman Crowds and Ping Pong the Animation. It was directed by Noboru Ishiguro, who was the director of Legendary Galactic Heroes and Space Battleship Yamato. And yeah, like I said, released in fall 1982, and it's 36 episodes long. And the summary from Mal says, after a mysterious spaceship crashes into Earth, humanity realizes that they are not alone. Fearing a potential threat from space, the world pushes aside their nationalism, conflicting interests, and cultural differences, unifying under the banner of the United Nations. The newly formed UN forces decide to repurpose the alien spacecraft, naming it SDF-1 Macross. Unfortunately, on the day of its maiden voyage, a fleet of spaceships belonging to a race of aliens known as Centradi descend upon Earth, and the SDF-1 Macross, acting on its own accord, shoots down the incoming squadron, sparking an intergalactic war. And yeah, basically, in an attempt to escape, the Macross tries to launch itself into the moon's orbit, but the ship, as well as the city was in, is teleported to the far reaches of space. Caught up in this mess are Hikaru Ichijo, a free-spirited acrobatic pilot, and Lin Minmei, an aspiring idol. These two, alongside Macross' crew, experience an epic journey rife with grief and drama, coming face to face with the cruelties of war along the way.
And lots of culture to be had.
Lots of culture to be had. Proto-culture. So.
Yeah, Attack of the Giant Space Virgins, the anime. Very fun.
Attack of the Giant Space Virgins, the anime.
It definitely is.
I mean, come on.
Never thought of it that way.
Yeah, I mean, the first scene that comes to mind is just like, they were man and woman together. Oh.
Yeah. You can't have men and women together, Hickey.
Yeah,
Come on
I
now.
don't know. It's like, what is this hug thing? Hug. It's like, hugs. Oh, they were hugging. What the fuck? What is this kiss
What am I
thing?
supposed to do?
Kiss now. And like, they just kiss like, I cannot believe they are kissing. So yeah, Space Giant Virgins. Yeah.
Space
I
giant
love
virgins,
Macross. It's
indeed. Oh, yeah.
So
no,
I feel that we can't talk about Macross without at least, like, comparing it to what the series is today. Because the series continued, right?
It did.
And
something really
everyone,
wrong
something went wrong after, like, 1993. It slowly morphed into an idol-centric show. So, if you're a big Macross, like, Delta fan, and you go back and watch Super Dimensional Fortress Macross, you go, what the fuck is this shit? And I'll let you know what this shit is. It is glorious shit, because it is not idol-focused. It's all about
Oh, I don't know. I like idol shows. So, like,
well, you do, Hickey. But
I
this isn't an idol show. It has an idol
I
in
know,
it.
like, because I haven't watched the other Macross. I've watched Macross with Tori, I think, a long fucking time ago. Or someone from the other Discord chat.
I don't think we watched it together, no.
I watched it with someone. I think it was a watch along. Something like that. And I remember, like, well, I watched the other ones, but first I need to watch Do You Remember Love? Oh, it's been 4 years. I've watched Do You Remember Love last week. But even looking to the cover art of the other Macross, you can see that something went wrong. Because this Macross, it is very standard. Kind of almost looking like a Gundam cover. I know that
Yep.
I call the main guy in this one Amuro, because he's literally like really similar to Amuro in many aspects. But the other one, you have like this 80 guy with a keyboard guitar thing. Like something really wrong happened in Macross 2 already in the 80s. And then you look at then what is Macross Frontier, then Macross Delta, what is 90s and then late 2000s and 2010s. Yeah, no, something. What the fuck? What the fuck?
Well,
because
They decided to switch the focus.
I know,
So
because,
it's interesting.
here's the-
if
here's
you
the
look
thing.
at the decades that it came out in, it's almost like Macross morphed into what was popular during that decade. So in the
Yes.
80s, it was Real Robot and Super Robot. So it created this sci-fi centric show where, yes, it had the idol girl, but she had a purpose to the show. The rest of the show was focused on a super transforming spaceship into a super robot. And meanwhile, the Real Robot aspect was a lot of the mechs in dogfighting, similar to what we saw in like Area 88.
I remember when I watched it. I don't remember with who I watched it, but I remember commenting it. Like, Macross starts very confusing. It doesn't really know what it wants to be, because it looks like a mix of Gundam and Transformers with comedy.
That's on purpose.
Yeah,
totally
it's
on purpose.
not
I disagree.
good.
I really much disagree with that.
It's
Yeah,
not very good, but then it finds its way, especially after one character dies, and it becomes really a very decent show.
Yeah, I remember-
But then when you look at the continuations, it's like they lost the focus they find, like in the
disagree.
first season. I mean, I don't know, because I haven't watched the other ones. You can disagree
so-
because you probably watched them. I'm just
Yeah.
saying that is my impression. It's like they started as something really confusing that didn't know what it wanted to be, but wanted to be a comedy kind of show. Then it found itself. It became very serious and very entertaining. But then you look at the other season, and it's like something bad happened.
I don't know about very serious, but it has serious moments.
Well,
but
it
Macross will
treats
always be
things
a
as
mixture
serious.
of. It does, but Macross will always be a mixture of both serious and comedy. Like we say, we always like to make fun of the whole like proto-culture thing, which is played as both played straight and as a joke, which is kind of weird. They kind of mix that up sometimes. Sometimes it's like very serious, like proto-culture. What is proto-culture? And then it's just like, ha, look, they're kissing. He wants them to have sex. This giant man wants these two tiny humans to have sex.
I
Isn't
recall
that funny? But yeah.
I recall reading somewhere that the concept of the series originally started out as like a parody of like Space Battleship Yamato and Gundam.
Yes, I wanted to bring that up exactly because when you got the big bad aliens wanting to take over Earth, to me the entire beginning is Yamato, right?
Ah, yeah.
It's similar, dude.
And then it morphs into what Gundam and what's a good super robot comparison? Because you have the Gundam with the factions against each other in space, and then the super robot aspect is the giant mechs transformation, and I guess that's
Transformers?
well, was Transformers that
No.
early though?
No, probably
I
not.
don't think so. That's what I'm trying to remember because like I'm just like I'm like Gunbuster, but that's not. It's not. I think that's after as well.
Gunbuster came later.
Yeah.
Let you know what? Let me save that thought as I bring it up, and you guys can continue. I'll get the super robot reference because it's on the tip of my tongue. So
Giant Gorg.
it's definitely not Giant Gorg.
Really? You don't think so?
Yeah, I don't think so. So let me just be quiet here for a second as I get my thoughts together here.
Yeah. No, but what I want to say was like I do think that like I said, I know the whole it wanted to be a sort of a parody of like Space Battleship Yamato early on, and that's kind of what I mean. I think it's a little bit confused because I think while I do think that was the initial idea, I do feel like at some point they realized that they kind of figured that what they have here can be more than just like look at this, let's make fun of what Yamato did essentially, and that's why I mean like I feel like at first it's not entirely sure where it wants to go, and then as it sort of finds its own feet, it realized that it can morph its own like sense of comedy and seriousness together into its own blend of story. And as to why stuff changed, I just feel like that simply comes down to the fact that people really attached to Lin Minmay and the whole idol side of it, and they were just like, well, if that's what people want. That's what they're gonna get.
The early movie.
Brave Raideen, Ghetto Robo, and Mazinger Z. Those are the three, and I have dabbled in all three of those. You can definitely tell what Macross, Super Dimensional Fortress Macross, was trying to do with referencing Yamato, which was very influential, and as we reviewed, very good, barring the ending rush job. But we'd never done a Super Robot show. I mean, I guess the closest we got was Gatchaman, but that was more of a Super Sentai show, right? When I look at Macross and how it's evolved from this mech-centric show into a idol show with mechs in it, you can look at the 90s Macross, where it became this kind of rock-centric show, and it went really heavily into the music, and that was kind of more diving into what that era was trying to do with how it's telling a story, because the sci-fi was kind of done. Everything was trying to get more fantasy or music focused, right? Then when you got into the 2000s, you got the Macross Frontier, which went way more idol heavy, because what was coming out was the whole moe trends, I guess. So then by the time we got to Macross Delta, it just went full idle.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. I still don't know how I feel about it. I'll watch it in the next week. I'll catch up to Macross Delta, and then I will have an opinion. Just don't know. Let's focus on this Macross, the beginning of this Macross, which is very tries to be funny, I guess. Really like the mechas because they look like F-14s, Phantom 2. But I'll never forget like Macross going to space, and then Lin Mei and our boy Amuro stuck inside of Macross, and there's a ton of fish floating in space.
Sure, why not?
Hickey really does remember love.
I did like how they were gonna die at first. That was funny.
Yeah, but who cares? They were showering. That's
Nipples.
There were nipples.
care.
Like, I just
I
love that.
It
I was
really
like, we're
established
trapped.
how
What do we
big
need?
that fucking thing is, right?
It's
yeah.
fucking, it's
Yeah, it
ginormous.
is huge.
It's like a
I think
whole
they, at
city.
the start, don't they like fucking just give you like a fucking scale at the in like the first episode, be like, this is how big this thing is.
Well, it's the size of a major metropolis city.
Yeah.
Wasn't it? Yeah.
It's
Sure.
awesome. So it's the proto-culture. It's a big focus of the show, and culture itself is a big focus because of the way how society changes based on their situation and where they are. So
Just like Macross.
so you have this giant ship gets teleported into space. So what ends up happening is they're in the middle of space. They're under attack constantly. The culture of the society then starts developing. All right, so they have to have A, entertainment, and B, military. So what ends up happening is Lin Min-mei gets her big break, and she becomes the idol of... She's almost like that glimmering hope that they're not always under attack situation.
She's the only singer in the fucking ship as well.
She's the only one with any talents that, whatever.
And sings the same damn song every episode.
Well, I mean, my boyfriend is a pilot, bro.
Yeah.
I got
You're just
so
jealous.
sick of that song by Series End.
You're just jealous.
You're just jealous of her singing ability.
Yeah. No matter
don't
how
care
many
about
years
singing.
have passed since I've watched Macross, I still remember the lyrics of that.
Yeah.
song.
This is a perfect time to... I'm just going to interrupt the podcast and play it. I'm not going to do it right. I'm just going to insert the song right here.
Oh,
right in
God.
the middle of the podcast. It's going to be like 30 seconds of the song. So I'm just going to timestamp it. Here it goes.
You better hope you like this song, audience. If you're planning on
I
watching
hope
the
you
show.
forget.
There are other songs.
I hope he forgets, and now he's gonna have that part, and then everybody's gonna look forward to it, and then nothing happens.
Right?
No, I definitely put it in. Now, if I didn't, then what I just said is going to be sound really weird. All right. But yeah, like I don't know whether it's just because I have the anthropology background, but what the time frame when I first watched the show and then rewatched it for the podcast, I think it holds up very well, and it really sets itself apart from a lot of anime, especially in the early 80s. Like Dunbine was out, these super robot shows that were just awful. Then you had Ideon, which came out at the same time, where it's so different than what was going on. And I think that's what made it so popular. Now, where would we be without covering Harmony Gold and what they decided to do with the show when it was brought to the West?
I don't
You mean
know.
Robotech?
No experience with that at all, so that's not my area.
Oh, Robotech. And that, for Western fans, that's what they associate Macross with. Robotech is not Macross. Robotech is this conglomeration of 3 random shows into a singular anime, so plots are just cut out, characters are cut out and inserted where it shouldn't be. Things are changed for seemingly no reason, and they still have the license to this day.
And they're not doing anything with it.
Nothing. And they refuse to give it up. Makes no sense. That's the only mention I'm gonna do of Harmony Gold, because fuck them.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, though. Like, now, obviously, again, I have no experience with this. I don't watch dubbed anime, so I never got that. So I have no experience with Robotech. But in literally any experience I have when I talk to people about Macross, or when I mention Macross, I get hit with the Robotech. It's not Macross, it's Robotech, which it's like that's no
True.
That's where you're wrong. But it's like, but I've still yet to find someone. Like, obviously, I know you, I know Joe, I know, like, but I've yet to find somebody, like, at random on the internet that has anything, like, that comes out and goes, like, I didn't like Robotech. It's the exact opposite. People cannot watch Macross because it's not Robotech.
It's so weird. I know what you mean. And it's just that nostalgia exposure, right? They got conditioned that Robotech is what they know, right?
Well, to be fair, it did kind of kickstart a lot of anime popularity when it came out.
Absolutely it did.
Sure.
There's no denying what it accomplished and what influence it has.
Exactly.
What I will argue is it's a bad show.
No! How can gluing 3 random shows together and cutting out a bunch of shit, how can that ever be bad?
Exactly, right?
I think you're wrong, JD.
It just can't be. I'm speaking
You're just a
foreign
hater.
tongues. I'm just a hater. Super Dimensional Fortress Macross, SDF Macross. Its plot, I think, is well confined to. It hit its stride in a very good way when the Zentradi finally started. What really grasped me is when you're introduced to the Zentradi, the giants, right? The giant blue people. And they have their own culture, which makes sense. They're far off in the galaxy. They're, I guess, bioengineered? Is that the right term?
I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's no other way for them to procreate that they know of.
And that's the key
What are
word.
women?
Procreate, proto-culture. It was like a spin on a word that got altered in their culture, right? So instead of procreate, it's proto-culture.
Mm-hmm.
And what they know as culture is sexual activities, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then when they see
Boy,
humans...
were they happy when they discovered it.
Well,
Right,
I
so
mean,
then when
it's not only sexual activities. It's like everything that is not fighting. Because
Yeah. It's an even better way to put it.
They
Yeah.
were engineering to fight, so they don't know anything that is not fighting, and everything to them looks like a weapon, some sort of weapon. That's why, when they get the lean meme little toy plush, they think it's a mental attack or something and start freaking out because they don't know what it is.
What is this? What is this feeling in my genitals? And why do I feel like moving my legs? This is a mental attack on our
Yeah.
people.
Oh, yeah.
It's easy to make fun of, but think
It
about
is easy to
Yeah.
make fun of because
Still makes sense.
but
Because-
think about just history and society, right? Think of like when the white man came to North America, they met the natives, and the natives have all these, they're doing smoke signals. They have all this culture that the white man doesn't understand, and vice versa. The white man brings plague and disease. The white man does not respect Mother Nature situation. There's a lot of crossover there.
Yeah, but the only difference is the white man, they took care of it. The white man, they just took care of a problem.
They took care of this. They took care of that savage culture.
Your culture is wrong. Die.
Well, is that not what Macross is kind of saying?
No.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah, that's a
really.
good
But
point.
not entirely.
It's not the message that they're sending, but the
what they're trying.
Zentradi think it's an attack, right? Your culture is wrong.
They don't have culture. That's
They
the
don't have
main
culture.
point
They
of
have
it.
fighting.
Yeah. Yes, that's the point. So it's not about culture being
But
wrong.
that is
If
their
they thought
culture,
culture being wrong, they would have just pulverized fucking Earth instead of fearing culture. You're just like, it's not the point. You missed the point by a lot.
Fear what you don't know.
Yeah, it's just like they don't know about it, and the only thing they know about it is like, if you see small people, do not fight them. Because they are powerful, and they think the culture is that powerful thing and not the big fucking ship they left behind. Of course, culture on its own is a huge weapon, as we see after the peace treaty, but that's other part of the show. So, yeah.
Of course, we can kind of see at that point that a lot of Zentradi can't really adapt to that way of life. Because, hey, they've spent their whole lives fighting and conquering civilizations, and then as soon as they come across a peaceful life, then some can't adapt.
Makes
Some
sense.
get that, yes. Definitely. I still just, because the one thing I found funny was just like, at the end, the whole like, you can't hurt us anymore. We have figured out your proto-culture. And then they fucking start having sex. It's like,
You can't hurt us
I
because
see.
we have sex.
yeah. We're not afraid of your little culture anymore. Look, we can do it too. Like, good job.
Good job. What's your favorite position? Please tell me.
Oh, jeez.
It does lead to the greatest line in anime that I've come across, and that's nearing the end, where our two like big villains that can't adapt, as they're about to go out in a blaze of glory and die, and go, "Hey, we get back. Let's do some fucking culture." They hold hands, and it's like, "Yeah, if you survive, let's do it anal style."
Oh, jeez.
We'll try a new position if we survive. I can see it now. It's like, hey, I saw these two bears kind of doing something in the woods. That was some weird culture. You want to try that? And that's kind of what it is.
Macross.
So, favorite characters, favorite fights, anything like that?
Yes, Roy.
Yeah,
Done.
definitely Roy.
The captain. Because like his death is definitely his death is probably my favorite moment, because it is a turning point in the anime where it starts to get a little bit serious, and then you have the Lee May going to the side when it comes to love relationship, and then you have the what's her patent again? God. Anyway, the other woman getting into Amuro's life. I should give his name instead of just calling him Amuro. Hold on.
Amuro's fine.
Hikaru?
Yeah,
You
Hikaru.
mean? That guy?
Yeah, Hikaru.
Hikaru Ichijo.
Yeah, nobody cares.
He's basically Amuro. I mean, there's no ifs about it.
If Sans and a lot of butts.
A lot of butts. That's very true. There is a love triangle in the show. We should probably mention that.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Go.
So, Hikaru has this, like, weird, I guess, crush on Lin Minmay. I guess it makes sense, almost experienced death together. She becomes the idol. She gets famous. She kind of starts shunning him. She becomes a bitch. And then there's the older woman who's single.
The better woman, yes.
The better
The better
woman,
one.
and he slowly falls for her, and I mean, the love triangle exists. It's not a focus of the show, which I really
Then
enjoyed.
you also have the producer guy.
Yeah, it's a little bit more than a triangle, but yeah.
No, well, sure. But
There's
I
definitely when it comes to romance, there's definitely some things. You have the love quadrangle. Yeah, just
quadrangle.
yeah. Then you have the little glasses guy marrying the giantess.
Yeah.
I beat her in war once. She falls in love with me.
That's how it's done. That's how you get the woman.
Yeah, well, they become very centric characters in the 2 sequels, so...
Mhm.
Yeah, I
found
haven't
that
watched
funny.
any of the other series, so I don't know.
Yeah, me neither.
But I
Macross
did watch
Plus
Do You
is
Remember Love?
excellent.
Oh, yeah, I saw Macross Plus.
Yeah.
Love that one.
All right, the major is Hayase Misa, and she's best girl.
Yep.
Well, I mean, this is what anime doesn't do today, is there's the slow character progression of Lin Min Mei getting, too up in her britches, right? And you had the actual girl who cares, woman who cares, and our main character ends up choosing her over the one that got too cocky, right?
I mean,
It's,
I don't
it's more
think
she
it's
got
like
too
that.
absorbed
They
in her
just,
work.
they
Just kind of
got
ignored
separated.
him.
Yeah, I mean,
Every-
I'd even argue.
His crush went away, and by the time Lin Min Mei she hit rock bottom, it was too late, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's one thing that I definitely wish they would have done in the series, like they did in Do You Remember Love, and that is the infamous bitch slap.
Well, okay,
Uh,
yeah.
Because that honestly that was definitely very needed. Then Min Mei Hikaru absolutely smacks the shit out of Min Mei when she is being very bitchy again, pretending to be trying to act like she is Hikaru's girlfriend, despite not being so. Stuff happens. I definitely wish that was also in the series. It is sadly not.
Well,
but-
Do You Remember Love's the movie version of the show, and things are
Yeah,
cut out.
it's the quote-unquote propaganda movie for Macross.
right.
Which is, it's kind of funny, right? But it's a very suitable style of, like, recap. It's not exactly a recap, but to a series like this, because it is so focused on war and conflict, right? So it's like, what was common around these times? Well, propaganda. Fuck it, let's make a propaganda movie.
I think it's an effective compilation movie.
Yeah,
Yeah, I really liked
definitely.
it.
Can't really say that a lot about those, right? Because then they're usually just become recap movies rather than kind of a standalone. Hey, if you want to watch the show and get more detail, the show exists, right? But we're not going to hold your hand. We're going to make a singular story to try and tell this the best way possible in like the 90 minutes or whatever. And Do You Remember Love? I can recommend it to somebody.
Yeah, I
Damn
mean,
right.
I've watched it. I don't know. I have mixed impressions of that movie.
I mean,
Especially like
Kind of.
when they changed the fact Earth is okay.
yeah. But
Because,
that's
like,
the point, right? That's what I mean when I call it a propaganda movie. It kind of skillfully, it navigates around a lot of the negative connotations that's in the series. It's like, you don't need to know about that. All you need to know is that we went to war and we kicked some ass, and
Yeah.
some
Like,
information
I know.
might be covered up, but it's not that important. Remember,
yeah,
it
the
was the
ending was a
concert.
little
Min
bit
Mei had a big
rushed.
concert. It was so great. Everyone loved it. And then we had that moment where we got fucking showed our culture to the entire universe, and it was great. Remember? Don't worry about them. They went away. Don't worry. They didn't die. No. And that's what I mean. That's why I call it a propaganda movie, because it is.
Yeah. Just a little bit rushed by the end, but it's a fun movie to watch.
Yeah, it's
Definitely
worth
doesn't-
watching for the animation alone and art direction.
Definitely unlike the series, because holy shit, the animation in the series.
It was good at points, but terrible at others.
At first it was fine, and when we're starting to come towards the end, it got real bad. I mean, there are episodes, I don't remember exactly which one it is now, there's one in particular towards the middle to end point, that when it came out, it was almost nothing but stills. It was not animated at all. It was completely botched. So for the release, they had to remake it, and it's still fucking terrible. It's still not good.
There's actually a story behind the inconsistent animation. I found out later on that the animation production bounced around a number of studios throughout production. There was Studio Nue, who created Gundam. There was Artland, AIC, Gainax, Anime Friend, and Star Pro. And reportedly, Star Pro were the ones responsible for the most badly animated episodes in the series, like episode 11.
Of course it is.
That was that was my personal least favorite in terms of animation. It was so bad.
Yeah, but it has quite at the end of the day, it has quite a few just really subpar episodes in terms of animation. Even for its time, yes, it's 80s, but see, at this point, I've gotten into this point now where I'm like, I've seen stuff like Akage no An from the 70s and Future Boy Conan. Now I refuse to accept bad animation even in older shows. It's just like, no, they were able to animate back then too. Good animation is not something that came out in 2010.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
It is definitely a little bit rough. I will say, like, when it comes to art and animation, I do think if you're someone who is more used to more polished, more modern shows, Macross can be a little bit rough viewing right away. Like, it is one of those things, like, it takes a bit of getting used to. Although, saying that, I will also point out that I love how everybody praised the art style in the, what's it called? Cabaneri of the Iron Fortress that came out a few years ago.
Ah, yes.
Because that's also by the same designer as the original Macross designs.
Really?
So, yes.
Neat. Did not know that.
Neat little stuff there. Now you do. The more you know. So yeah, the art style and animation is definitely something that takes a little bit of getting used to.
I think if the music was less repetitive, I would have been way more into certain scenes and fights.
Oh yeah.
That's a big complaint in Macross that I have is it gets real repetitive with its soundtracks. Yeah, it gets insufferable later.
Yeah, because if it's not on battle, if it's like not instrumental, you're listening to Lin Mei singing the same three musics over and over again, and as the series progresses, chances are you won't like Lin Mei that much. So, just listening her repeating musics in your ear for 26 episodes, it's not really fun.
Wasn't it 36?
It's 36.
Oh, yeah, 36.
36, yeah.
Odd number, to say the least.
Nah, this was the 80s. It was okay.
Yeah.
In the 80s, it's all the same in the 80s. They're like, yeah, you just keep making this until we tell you to stop.
Pretty much.
Okay, you'll be cancelled.
A week before the episode getting on air. Oh yeah, that's the last one.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Like the Yamato thing, the one where it's just like, yeah, you have 4 episodes, huh?
Like, but there's still 20 episodes to tell the story. All right, making it in 3. Like, you have 5 episodes to end, but we need 15. Just because you complain, you have 4 now.
Yeah. I will say this.
3.
Macross tells a complete story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It didn't have that 4-episode rush ending that we got with Yamato.
No, it didn't.
I don't have much to complain about other than production. Right?
Yeah, like, for me, it's production, and then it is those early episodes where I feel like a lot of them were a little bit missing the mark. I didn't find the humor in it very appealing. I didn't, I felt like it was slow getting going. Like, I was a little, like, I knew, or I had a idea based on what people had told me what Macross was, and I'm just sitting there and it's like, this is not what the people told me at all. Like, when does stuff happen? When does this start? And then it did, and at that point I started liking it a lot more. But at first it was a little bit boring getting into. I will say that.
Definitely. I probably sounded a lot of mixed and negative about Macross, but I actually enjoyed a lot the first Macross. Especially after Roy dies. It's a huge turning point, especially for Hikaru. But the beginning is definitely not very good. I didn't like the comedy at the beginning. Didn't like the premise at all, because I don't think the culture thing was a good like the culture thing and Macross being like swung to, I think it was Pluto, while it was trying to escape. I don't think it is a good premise to the aliens just not annihilating Earth on the spot. I thought it was a little bit weak.
Interesting.
Like,
okay.
Yeah, I think honestly, all the culture thing and they think like they're trying to discover it. Like I said, it looks like a bunch of giant space virgins. It is very jarring why they just don't follow what they always did with everyone and just pulverize the fucking planet.
Curiosity is a dangerous thing. I think
yeah,
I thought
still,
the way
like,
they tackled it.
I honestly, but after a while you forget about those things.
Well, there's going to be people in society that aren't part of the norm, and even that goes for the Zentradi too. Even though they are engineered fighters and that's all they know, there's going to be a group out there where they are more curious to something other than fighting, and what happens is they are sent to assassinate or scout the enemy, and they go, well, let's not do it now. I'm very curious to know what this is. And then they report back and they go, we were taken aback. I thought the reasonings were handled.
Yes, but
sensible.
that's after like the beginning, right, where you have the little spies and things. Yeah, but I'm talking more about the actual beginning, the first 5 episodes. They're not honestly that good. The premise of fighting the Macross instead of conquering Earth is a little bit weird, but after a while with characters' deaths, except the other guys from the squad, the Roy squad, because they don't really matter. No one remembers them. But Roy's death, a lot of attacks in Macross, a lot of innocent people dying. The woman giants, what is the name of the other race, the woman's race, being introduced.
Let's just call them Amazons.
Yeah.
For the sake of keep going, let's just call them Amazons.
Yeah, all right. The Amazons race being introduced, and they, having fights. You learning about the history of Earth and on space, and having space wars that happened with space submarines. It is all very interesting. The problem is at the beginning, you need to understand, and it's not the best. But after a while, it gets really, really good.
Yeah, it made a little more sense in Do You Remember Love, because by that point, life on Earth had already been wiped out, so the last of it was all on the Macross. That whole premise alone kind of reminds me of Battlestar Galactica.
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
In fact, I think Battlestar Galactica came out before this, so it would make sense if there was some inspiration from that.
I think it is the same problem as Yamato, right? Because the planet is dying. There's the aliens attacking it, and then they need the detergent, the space detergent, to clean Earth. But it's like, why not you just, instead of going after Yamato and losing a lot of people, why not you just attack Earth? Because it's not protected. But who cares? Villains in anime are not the competent type. We know that.
I mean, nothing in Yamato makes sense. Like how they're gonna get to fucking.
I know Yamato made more sense than Macross, at least.
Well, I think in the first few episodes of Macross, they didn't have their whole fleet with them. Maybe they wanted to find out more.
There was still an Earth Defense Force established.
Yeah, and if the Zentradi didn't have their big huge fleet with them, they couldn't really attack the whole planet at once. Which is what they do later.
Yes, I understand it.
There was dissension groups in the Zentradi.
I still think it's a little bit of bullshit, but I understand it. It's like, come on, they are giants.
To be able to warp.
It's like,
they also didn't expect it to be able to fucking warp, even though it was their ship.
I think they actually had a squabble about it at one point. They're like, why don't we just call all of our fleet to annihilate this planet? And then it's like the guy with the cyber eye.
There's culture.
Vetoes
there's culture, man. You don't mess with culture. Okay, sure. But, I know something that is as powerful as culture. It's called a rifle. So if we use that, we can win against Culture. No. Let's go against Macross, even though there's a giant laser in Macross that can annihilate everything in sight. Sure, sounds good. Like, okay, but again, you need to ignore.
And let's
things.
use our machine to make our giant selves into human size.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because that will get us to know Culture more.
Yeah. You know, there's some things you need to ignore to enjoy a show, and definitely those little flaws in storytelling.
That's for
you
sure.
need to ignore, and if you ignore it, that's fine. After a while, you just forget about it. You
just run with it.
Unless you need
you don't just ignore about it and forget. You just run with it. You just go, okay.
Yeah,
What
alright,
if?
this is fun. This is fun. I understand. There are no perfect stories, and they had more to, to the second part of the show where the giants are just trying to get jobs and having peaceful lives. I guess that's the most important part of the show, not the beginning.
I remember somebody on YouTube making a funny comparison. Like, a story is like a ceiling. If it's an interesting ceiling, you just stare at it for hours. But if it's not an interesting ceiling, then you start to notice all the cracks and the chipping paint and all that stuff.
Sure.
I thought that was kind of an interesting comparison.
I see that. Yeah, I can see that.
I've never seen an interesting ceiling, but okay.
I mean, you need to go to churches more. They usually have.
I have been to
interesting
churches.
ceilings.
No, they don't. It's just wood.
Oh, I guess you and your Viking culture.
Stained
Yep.
glass ceilings and paintings aren't
Yeah.
in Norway.
No, they are, but those are the windows, not the ceiling.
Oh, you don't
Fucking-
have adorned
There's no roof
ceilings?
on your Norwegian churches.
Nope.
Everything's outdoor in Norway, even in the winter. Hard people they are.
I wish.
Weak culture,
wish
though,
everything's
obviously.
Weak culture, indeed. That's why we got ruined.
I think I've said my piece over Macross.
Yeah, I mean, like, obviously there's a lot of stuff you can touch on in Macross, but I feel like I don't want to like get too into it, because it's one of those things, like, it's easier to talk with people about, like, after they've seen it. If that makes sense. Like, I think it's one of those things, like, you can give them like a premise and you can talk a little bit about what's in it, and then
Sure,
it's like,
sure.
if you're interested, watch it. It's like, I don't feel like if you start breaking down everything that happens, it's like you try to watch Macross again. It's like it doesn't become that interesting now that you know, like, the whole everything.
You know the
Not a lot of
culture now.
rewatch value to Macross. That is.
Yeah, I wouldn't exactly say that Macross has the most rewatch value. Not to me, at least.
Yeah, because
fun,
I
but-
rewatched it for the podcast, and I was like on double speed for a lot of things. It does go pretty slow the second time. I agree with the rewatchability. It's definitely on the lower side. But for a first watch, that was incredible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fun.
Yeah.
I would say
Yeah.
for like a rewatch, just watch Do You Remember Love?
Yeah. Definitely.
I could agree with that.
I actually think
So
I like...
I'll,
Oh, sorry.
I'll just go first with my score because I've kind of said my piece. So, for the first time watch, this is going to be an interesting review score. First time watch, I gave this an 8 out of 10. I found it really enjoyable. Its production values were on the lower side. There was that slow start. There's a lot of suspend your reasoning moments, as we discussed. But I still ended up giving it an 8 out of 10 just because I thought of the time it was very influential. It made its purpose. It was very different. Then when I rewatched it for the cast, again, I found myself kind of skipping a lot of parts, moving on with the story. I should have watched Do You Remember Love?
You should have.
So I'm actually gonna drop my score because that rewatchability value was so low. So I'm putting it at a 7 out of 10 now. Sorry, my phone's going off, but I can't reach it right now. Don't worry about it.
Podcast ruined.
Just
Oh, boy.
ignore the phone call. Yes, that's Horizon Zero Dawn music.
Oh.
Copyright.
Someone go next, please.
Remember to silence your phones before starting the cast.
I'm a very important person, Hickey, so I can't do that.
No,
think
you are
right.
not. Stop lying to yourself.
I think I'll go
No,
next.
I mean,
Take it.
sure.
Go on.
Because you wanted to say something after, before JD interrupted you, so please.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think I like Do You Remember Love more than the original series, even though you get the best viewing experience watching the original series first. But I think what I like most about Do You Remember Love is everything feels big. It's like The Lion King in that regard. Everything feels epic scale. You don't see that much in movies anymore. But yeah, as far as my score is concerned, I only watched each of them once, but because that's all I had time for. But I think just when the animation was good, it was really good. But when it was bad, it was really bad. But I liked the story. It was complete. I'd say for the original series, I'd give it maybe a 7.5 out of 10. And for Do You Remember Love, a definite 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
You disagree?
Nicky?
I disagree. I honestly didn't like the movie that much, but probably it comes with the rewatchability thing. And I don't know, because usually I have everything fresh in my memory.
Ah, yeah.
Watching Macross Do You Remember Love wasn't that interesting, especially because of the beginning. The first 30 minutes of the 2-hour movie is just everything that is bad in Macross condensed in 30 minutes. So a lot of things didn't make much sense because they weren't rushed introduced. Like Tori said, it's more like a propaganda movie. Don't worry about it. I worried about it because I wanted.
God damn it, Hickey!
I wanted to take as much as I could for this cast from Do You Remember Love, and make some parallels with what I remembered from the original series. Probably because of that, I took Do You Remember Love too serious to enjoy it as fully as I could. But that's why I gave it a 7. But I gave
enough.
Macross an 8 when I watched it, because it was very, very fun. The
Hickey's in agreement with me yet again. Wonder how many podcasts in a row that is
No.
now.
JD, you changed your score.
You changed your score. The story is good. Ignoring what I already said about the story, the beginning, the premise, why the giants just don't fuck Earth and end everything, just to add a little bit of despair. Do You Remember Love does that, which is good. It's okay. The character development is very, very good. Very, very good. Especially the romance.
Yeah, we never talked about that, really.
Oh, yeah.
Especially the
Doesn't
romance.
matter.
The romance reminds me of Bozok, Casca, and Guts developing their love. That's probably because why I really enjoyed the Misa and Hikaru, becoming a very, especially because she's like, you are an inconsequent young man, and just getting to know each other, passing through the experiences, and him realizing that having her instead of Lin Mei by his side was better.
Yeah.
Lin Ming Mei, like I like idol shows, so having Lin Ming Mei going from the only kind of singer in Macross, going back to Earth and realizing she's nothing special, is a really good development. Failing having to go back at working in a restaurant with her family. I really, really enjoy it, and the music's not that good, but it's still good. You just
It has an 80s
listen
charm
to it,
to
and you just get tired of listening to it. But
It was nice the first time.
it was nice. Macross. It was nice the first time, definitely. So yeah, 8 for the actual series. Go watch it. Very, very fun. You can also understand a lot of what is going on with anime in the 80s. And then, go watch Do You Remember Love, but don't take it too much serious, because or else you're not going to like it that much.
Get propaganded.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, my score is like I said, when it comes to the Macross series, I didn't like it very much at first. Honestly, there was even a point where I was considering, like, I set like a deadline for myself. I was like, if this doesn't get interesting by like episode 12 or something like that, I might just drop it. I didn't, so it definitely did get interesting, thankfully. But there were definitely parts of it that I was like almost tempted to just like fast forward or skip, just to see if something would happen. But I stuck with it, and as I did, I got more and more entranced into the story. And like I said, there's a lot of interesting stuff in Macross. There's some goofy stuff, obviously, with the culture, and I feel like as it goes, it manages to nail that little mix of like being serious with funny a little bit better than it does early on. So there are good parts, but it is still a little bit like back and forth. Like one part they can treat proto-culture like a serious look on culture, and then in the next one it's like, people are having sex. So it still has a little bit of that, but it's honestly it's kind of part of the charm. It's kind of part of why you would like the original Macross, if you do, obviously, and I definitely did. So in the end, I also ended up giving the series an 8. It was very fun, and especially by the end, I was very much into the story as a whole, flaws aside. And since apparently we're also doing Do You Remember Love now, I did watch that too, and in one way I kind of agree with it. I actually think that Do You Remember Love is weaker than the series. I wouldn't say it's a better version. I would, while it is kind of like a complex, like I say, I call it a propaganda movie. What I think is, I don't think you should watch Do You Remember Love as your first entry into Macross.
I agree.
I think if you want to get the most out of Do You Remember Love, you need to watch the series first. If you can't do that, then sorry, but I don't think Macross is for you. So yeah, no, that's my opinion. That I ended up giving. I still like Do You Remember Love. Like I said, for me, the highlight of Do You Remember Love is when Lin Min gets bitch slapped by Hikaru. And it's just like that's when everything just comes out and you're satisfied with life. It's just, yep, everything's all right here. The world might be going to shit, but everything is okay here. So yeah, it was a fun movie, and I ended up giving it a 7.
Okay.
Colin, what was your score again?
It was 7.5 for the series and 9 for Do You Remember Love.
So we all kind of had the same score, basically. Not bad.
Yeah.
Alright, so on the agenda coming up, we have Attack Number 1. It's our next episode. And get ready, because we're going back to Legend of the Galactic Heroes, episodes 27 through 52. For episode 61. So look forward to that, everybody.
All right.
Yeah.
Take us out, Tori.
Anybody have? No, why don't you take us out, JD?
Okay. So want to give a quick plug to the Anime Radicals podcast and all the people in that conglomeration. They're putting out episodes again. That is guys from the Nerdum and Other Nonsense podcast, Yatta's podcast. He changed the name to whatever it is now. There's a good plug. Yeah, I think it's called like the Anime Podcast. Actually, something very simple. Got Brains, Trash Panda, and many more. Frigimon Fanatic. Go check out Anime Radicals. We're part of that network. That's Anime Radicals over on SoundCloud, iTunes, and more. And obviously, go check out Red Leaf Retrocast and all our conglomeration podcasts, whether that's anime, retro gaming, modern gaming, and wrestling. Because we all know wrestling is anime in real life.
Huh.
I'm your host, JD, and we'll see you next time.
Peace.
Bye now.
See ya.
かけはしない君の走る影の後人は誰も走り続けるゴールはまだ見えない今日の次に何がある明日の先に何がある遥か